Hey there guys, I hope you're all doing very well. Welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be talking about Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Now when it comes to the Mission Impossible franchise, these films never disappoint. I really do like Tom Cruise when it comes to his role in this movie, playing as Ethan Hunt, and watching his performance as well as the stunts he performs, it never bores me and never disappoints. I never get bored of watching him, and really when it comes to the franchise, I always really love its moments and its actions, and it's always a lot of things that you could really enjoy and take home from. So I knew going into Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, I was expecting it to follow on the same themes of the previous movies. Now, The Final Reckoning is technically part 2 of Dead Reckoning Part 1, which came out 2 years ago. And Dead Reckoning Part 1, I had a good time watching it, and it was really good. So, when it comes to The Final Reckoning, does it offer the same expectations as Dead Reckoning Part 1? And in my opinion, yes it does. So, as I mentioned earlier, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is the sequel to Dead Reckoning Part 1. So, if you remember from Dead Reckoning Part 1, Ethan is basically tasked to stop a AI called the Entity, which could be acted as a very dangerous weapon for mankind. Now, when it comes to The Final Reckoning, he sees the visions of what the AI entity would do, which would essentially create a nuclear apocalypse. So Ethan is tasked to stop Gabriel, who is an agent that works with the AI, and he also has a device that essentially acts as the entity's source code that Ethan needs to stop it from essentially creating mass destruction. So that's pretty much the whole premise with this movie, and I think it's a very good premise that it builds up very well. And I feel like when it comes to The Final Reckoning, it delivers very, very well. But yeah, that's pretty much the story in a nutshell. I don't want to really go into too much details about it or really what goes on throughout the film, because I really feel like it will just spoil it. But essentially, Ethan is doing this task for one last time. You hear that phrase being used in this movie, or that line, and he tries to convince the president that this is the last mission at stake to save humanity. And essentially, the reason he has to do that is because essentially, if he doesn't do it within time, where the entity can hack into the system of the other first world countries' nuclear weapons, the US would not be afraid to initiate their nuclear weapons to attack those countries and wouldn't risk on, killing lives there. So, because the entity could also hack their system as well, which will create more of a mass destruction. And I really feel like that whole tension that it builds up is very, very good. But anyways, that's kind of it for the story. When it comes to moments in this film, you're not going to be disappointed. And I think if you always like Tom Cruise and the Mission Impossible films, I wouldn't see why you would be. So I really want to highlight one of the moments in this movie. I don't want to kind of talk in depth of it because, again, spoilers. But one of the scenes that Tom Cruise does in this film is he gets into the submarine, which is called the Sevastopol, if you remember from Dead Reckoning Part 1. So he gets inside the Sevastopol to try and gain access to the entity to unlock its source code and everything like that. And when he gets into the Russian submarine, it starts to fall down into the depths of the ocean. Which, if you may remember the submersible, you've seen what happened when the submersible went deep, deep down and it started to implode with all the pressure. And they project that sort of moment in that movie or that scene very real. And I really felt so gripped by that scene because of, remembering that incident that happened in real life. So I really felt seeing Tom Cruise in that sort of moment was just amazing. It was so well put together. Now, I don't know what the behind the scenes was for this film to actually achieve that. I'll be gobsmacked if that was him actually doing it. I mean, I would have to like somehow, find some archive footage of the behind the scenes to actually get that scene there. But it was really, really good. Other things I will say as well, I do love the action in this movie. Other good action moments, I really do like to see the back and forth with Ethan and Gabriel. And there was like a good dogfight moment where it involves a plane scene that also lived up the expectations very well. That was also another good moment I really liked. Again, not much not giving away too much details because I really don't want to spoil the movie. I also thought the acting was very good. I mean, a lot of the actors did very well. Not just Tom Cruise, but a lot of the other actors in this role. But yeah, there's really nothing really I have like any complaints about with Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. It's very hard for me to think which one was truly better out of The Final Reckoning or Dead Reckoning Part 1. I think when it comes to maybe moments, I probably would put Dead Reckoning Part 1 probably, slightly further from, well, not slightly further, better than The Final Reckoning. Mainly because I did like the train scene, like near the end of Dead Reckoning Part 1. I thought that was like amazingly put together. But there are still some really great moments in this film, and I really find it hard to believe that you're not gonna walk out ever disappointed from it, and you'll just enjoy it for everything that you'll get from this film. Now, I don't really want to end with like any sort of complaints or criticisms I have for this movie, but there is only like one slight criticism I do have, which I do think the screenplay and the runtime, like the pacing, was just slightly off for me. Now, this is a 2-hour and 50-minute movie, and it is long. And I do feel like there were like some acts in this movie, like especially compared to Dead Reckoning Part 1, where I do feel like things did drag quite a lot. I think, like what I mentioned a little bit earlier, this movie does portray a lot of flashbacks from Dead Reckoning Part 1 and also prior Mission Impossible films that try to reference in certain characters that Ethan interacts with or comes across. So there is a lot of like flashbacks and everything that tries to build everything up together, really. So that does kind of prolong the movie a little bit. Now, I wouldn't say that's nothing massively to criticize, but I really do feel like if you're kind of expecting, a lot of moments and a lot of action, etc., you're not going to get it always from certain, acts or periods from this movie. They definitely do deliver, but not throughout that whole runtime. I'm just going to let you know about that from my opinion and perspective from watching it. But besides all that, I really enjoyed this film. This is a great movie. I don't know what's next for the franchise after this, but it seems like for me, I definitely don't want to see it end. And I always like watching Tom Cruise in this film. Like, I don't really think there's anything else I could really say. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my review of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. If you have watched this movie, let me know what you think of this movie. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe, dislike if you want to dislike. Thank you for watching. And yeah, that's about it. See you later.